بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضاه. So today inshallah we continue with phase 3 of this series, the basics of Arabic reading and writing. Last lesson we revised phase 1 and phase 2 using lesson 1 and lesson 2 of Al-Qa'ida An-Nuraniyah. We mentioned that in phase 3 we're going to learn the vowels in the Arabic language. Okay, in the Arabic language there are 3 vowels. There are 3 vowels. What are these 3 vowels? These 3 vowels, they are, this is the letter. I'm just pretending that this is the letter, this is another letter, and this is another letter. The first of these 3 vowels is called fatha. Fatha. It looks like this. It's a diagonal line which goes above the letter. So this is the letter. I'm just pretending that this is the letter. A short diagonal line which goes above the letter. This is what fatha is. This is how it's represented. A fatha. Short diagonal line above the letter. This is the first vowel. So it's not like English where the vowels are separate letters. The vowels are not separate letters. Rather, the vowels are diacritical markings which go above or below the letter itself. So it's not a separate individual letter. It's just a mark which is placed on top or below the letter, and this is how the vowel is represented. So this is the first one, fatha. I'll write that in English. Fa, fat, and this is a ha, fat, ha. I'll write that in Arabic. So we have fa, fat, ta, and then ta marbuta. Fath, ha, fathatun. This is the first vowel. It's called fatha. Short diagonal line which goes above the letter. This is vowel number 1. Okay. Vowel number 2 looks exactly the same as fatha, except that it goes below the letter. It's placed under the letter. This vowel is called kasra. 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 In Arabic, kasra, kasratun. Or you can say kasra or kasratun. Kasra if you're stopping. Kasra. Fatha. Okay, first vowel is fatha. Fatha. Second is kasra. The third one looks like a wow, and it's placed on top of the letter. Okay, and it's called dhamma. Dad, yeah? This dot under the D represents dhamma. Dhamma. A-H. In Arabic, dhammatun. Or if you're stopping, dhamma. Dhamma. So we said in Arabic there are 3 vowels. First one is fatha, kasra, dhamma. Fatha, kasra, dhamma. Okay, now I have my assistant with me. We're going to read the 3 vowels together 5 times. Okay? You're going to repeat after me, inshallah. Fatha.
Fatha.
Kasra.
Kasra.
Dhamma.
Dhamma.
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 Okay, which one is dhamma?
This one.
Which one is kasra? Which one is fatha? Which one is fatha? Okay, which one is dhamma? Okay, طيب, so you understand that, yeah? These are the vowels. Fatha, kasra, dhamma. In Arabic, vowels, the vowels are called, they're called hara. Okay, this is a ha, hara, kat. In Arabic, the vowels, we call them harakat. So all of these three vowels, they're called harakat, vowels. Okay, I'll write that in Arabic. Hara, ka, tun. But we would say harakat. We'll stop here. Harakat. Harakat. The three vowels are called harakat. Harakat. Harakat is a plural because there's more than one vowel. Yeah? More than one vowel, plural. So we use a plural. This word is plural. Harakat. Okay? One of them is called a harakah. So this is a harakah. This is a harakah. This is a harakah. Altogether they're called harakat. Harakah, harakah, harakah. One vowel is called a harakah. Let me write that here. Harakatun. Stop here, you say harakah. What's a harakah? A vowel. One, yani, one vowel. If it's more than one, we say, or plural, we say harakat, vowels. Harakat, vowels. Harakah, one vowel. So we could say, this is harakatul fath. This harakah is the fath. Harakatul kasra, or harakatul fatha. The fatha harakah. Harakatul kasra, the kasra harakah. Harakatul dhamma, the dhamma harakah. Altogether, harakat. Harakat. Okay. So what does harakah mean? A vowel. What's harakat? Vowels. Plural. Okay. All of these are harakat. How many do you have in total? 3. Fatha, kasra, dhamma. We have 3 vowels in total. Okay. The word harakah, yani linguistically, it means moving, a movement. Movement. That's what harakah is. Harakah is a movement. When you read or when you're speaking, does your mouth stay in one place? Does your mouth stay in one place? No, it doesn't stay in one place. If it stays in one place and you try to speak, no one's going to understand what you're saying. Your mouth has to move. Yeah? This is what happens when you're speaking. And to speak, you need harakat, you need vowels. You can't have consonants. If you have consonants, even in English, every word, as far as I know, every word, or yani every word in the English language has to have a vowel for you to be able to pronounce it. You can't just have consonants. Yeah? Same in Arabic. You have to have harakat. And these harakat, when you pronounce them, your mouth move. They move and they take different positions. Okay? They take different positions. That's why these are called harakat, because you have to move. You have to move the letter and you have to move your mouth for the word to come out and for you to pronounce and for you to speak, so people understand what you're saying. So that's what harakah is. It's a vowel, it's a movement of your mouth. With fatha, the movement is like this. You just open your mouth. Yeah? You open your mouth, not wide, just naturally you open your mouth. The two jaws, they extend outwards. They extend like this. Well, literally the bottom one goes down, but yeah, it opens like this. طيب, this is ba, ta, tha. This is how you pronounce the letters which have the fatha. And this is what we're going to concentrate on. We're going to study these vowels in order, from the easiest and the most frequent to the least frequent. So usually in the books that teach you how to read, they always start with fatha, then kasra, then dhamma. And the reason why they start with fatha is there's 3 main reasons. Firstly, because fatha is the easiest of these 3 to pronounce. It's the easiest upon the tongue to pronounce. Secondly is because fatha is the most frequent of all of these harakat. If you look at any page in the Quran and just count the number of fathas and compare that to the number of kasras and dhammas, you find that fatha comes out on top on average. So this is the most frequent harakah. So it's the easiest, it's the most frequent, and it's also, if you perfect this, it helps you with the makharij, with the articulation points of the letters. Because it's an easy harakah, you don't have to concentrate much. So your focus is on articulating the letter and pronouncing it properly. So this is why perfecting the fatha, inshallah, will perfect the articulation points and make it easy for you to read the other harakat. So we're going to begin learning the fatha. Once we finish fatha, we're going to learn kasra. Once we finish kasra, we're going to revise fatha and kasra, then introduce dhamma, and then revise all three together. And like that, inshallah, we're going to finish the harakat. Okay, last lesson, we used al-qa'ida al-nuraniya. If you remember qa'ida al-nuraniya, we took ad-dars al-awwal, we read the individual letters. We took ad-dars al-thani, we read the compound letters, the letters that are joined together. Just being able to identify the letters when they are joined together. This was ad-dars al-thani, and we read up to here. Ta, mim, ta. We skip this. This is not relevant right now. Then we go to ad-dars al-rabi'. Ad-dars al-rabi' in qa'ida al-nuraniya, he brings all of the harakat together, and it's a very short lesson. Starts here and it ends here. And I think personally that this is not a good way of teaching the harakat. The harakat should be given more emphasis than just one page, just a little over one page. It should be given more emphasis. The student should be given more time in perfecting the harakat, because this is the fundamental and the root of a student being able to read properly, especially the fathas. So you see here he brings fatha, kasra, dhamma, and he teaches all of the harakat at the same time. But I think this is not the best method. So for this particular lesson and for this unit, we're going to use this book here. This book is called Iqra Qira'ati. Tariqa, it's a way, jadida, which is new, sari'a, quick. A quick new way, fi ta'allumi, in learning qira'ati al-Quran, in learning the Quran. And in learning the Quran, essentially you're learning how to read Arabic, because the Quran is Arabic. Anyone who can read the Quran can read Arabic, generally, with the harakat if they're there. This book, Taqdeem, has been given a forward by Sheikh Yahya, or Sheikh Hafidahullah, Yahya al-Hajuri. And it's been written by Abu Hazim and Abu Turab. These two Al-Indonezian, two Indonesian brothers who were from the teachers of the Quran and Tajweed and other Arabic sciences in the Maj. And they are both the mu'adhins, or previously were the mu'adhins of the Maj, Hafidhahumullah. They're currently in Indonesia. I believe each one has their own markaz, and they've continued teaching, or they continue in the path of giving da'wah. The point is, this is the book we're going to use in learning the harakat. Why? Because they break down the harakat into smaller chunks, focusing on fatha, then moving on to kasra, joining them together, and then moving on to dhamma and joining all of them together. This tariqa is new and it's quick. Why is it new and quick? If you go to the tariqat al-tadris, the method in teaching this book, on point 3, they say an yatruka at-tahajji. They're basically giving pointers for the teacher or whoever wants to teach using this book or study using this book. On point 3 they say أن يترك التهجي كقوله مثلا ألف فتحة أ، لأن هذا يعسر على الطالب ويحتاجون إلى وقت طويل فيضبطه بل يقرأ مباشرة أ ب ت إلى آخره. طيب. Point number 3, they say that the student should avoid at-tahajji. At-tahajji is when you spell out the word, when you spell out the word and you break it down by saying, for example, in Al-Qaida Nuraniya here, the way they teach Al-Qaida Nuraniya is they will teach you Hamza Fatha A, Hamza Kasra I, Hamza Dhamma U, A, I, U, or something similar to that. This is what tahajji is. When you break it down and you spell it and each word individually. Hamza. So with Hamza, you're going to have to learn, the student is going to have to learn three things. Hamza, you have to learn Hamza, the name of the letter. Then you're going to say the fatha, the marking, the harakat that's on the letter. So that's the second thing you have to say. Then, what does that equal? What does it equal? If you have a Hamza and you have a fatha, what sound does that give you? It gives you A. So Hamza, fatha, A. Second one, okay, the letter is Hamza. What's the marking? Kasra. What does that equal? E. Gives you the sound E. Thirdly, Hamza, Dhamma. What does it give you? U. So here, for each one, when you're reading each one, there's three things that you have to say. Basically, three steps. Hamza, Fatha, A. Three things. Whereas in this book, they're saying avoid step number 1, avoid step number 2. We're just going to teach you step number 3. You're just going to go to step number 3. So instead of learning Hamza, Fatha, you're just going to say A. You're going to memorize this as A. You're going to memorize this as E. And you're going to memorize this as U. A, E, U. So they've cut out 2 steps. So the objective, the goal, the end result in both books is the same. But they've taken a shortcut by skipping the student having to say Hamza and saying Fatha, by just giving them the end result, and that is A. So this is why they say that this book is quicker. That's why they say in tariqa sari'a, because they avoid that. So mubashara, immediate, you're just going to say A, Ba, Ta. And this is very good for a person who wants to learn in a quick space of time. In a quick space of time, you learn quicker through this. And it's easier for the student having to memorize one thing as opposed to 3 things. Instead of saying Hamza, Fatha, A, you're just going straight to A. It's easier for the student to memorize one thing than to memorize 3 things at the same time and memorize that order as well. Hamza, then Fatha, then A. But whatever the case, both give you the same end result. Okay, so we're going to start learning from this book. We're going to start learning from this book. So we said that the first harakat is fatha. The first harakat is fatha. That's what the teacher is going to teach us. The 2 teachers here in this book, that's what they're going to teach us. They're going to bring the fatha with the individual letters. So in lesson 1, he's only going to teach us A and Ba. So Hamza with the fatha and Ba with the fatha only. Then he's going to introduce Ta and Tha in the second page here. He mentions it at the top where he's going to teach you Ta and Tha. And he's going to mix and match between these 2 that he's introduced here and the previous ones. So every time you're going to revise what you've taken previously, he's going to add two more letters, 2 more letters, and so on until the end. So here the letters are written individually. The letters are written individually. And notice how this book doesn't start with alif, ba, ta, tha. It doesn't go. So the first page, the first lesson is A, Ba. Straight. Is going straight into teaching you how to read. It doesn't teach you alif, ba, ta. However, with all books, there's benefits. There's things that are good, pros and cons. I think with Al-Qaida Nuraniya, the way it started off, with the alif in this order, this is the most common way, and this is very good for a student to know. Important for a student to know, in fact. Before going and jumping into the harakat, you should know the letters, the names of the letters, how the letters look when they're joined, being able to identify them. This is why we spent phase 1 doing this, phase 2 doing this. And after that, that's when you begin the harakat. And this, the pros of this book is that the harakat is given a lot of time and is broken down into smaller chunks, and it's easier for the student to understand. So we're going to begin reading, okay? Stand here, please. Hi, Bismillah.
Ba.
Okay, I'm gonna point. You have to read at the word, the letter that I point to. Yeah.
ba, ba, ba,
Okay.
ah, ah,
Okay, so all we're learning in this lesson is a and ba. This is hamza. Okay, this is one thing I want to tell you also. One thing is, okay, with regards to the harakat, all of these letters except harakat. All of these letters except harakat. You have fatha on all of them, you can have kasra on all of them, and you have dhamma on all of them, except for alif. Alif does not take fatha, alif does not take kasra, alif does not take dhamma. Alif is vowelless. It's a vowelless letter. It never takes fatha, it never takes kasra, it never takes dhamma. So with this here, remember we studied that this is not alif. This is actually hamza. This is a hamza taking a fatha. So we're learning here hamza fatha. We're not going to have alif. Even though alif is the first letter in the alphabet, we're not going to have alif fatha, ba fatha. Rather we have hamza. Hamza fatha a. Ba fatha ba. But obviously the author doesn't want us to say hamza fatha a, ba fatha ba. He just wants us to read a, ba. This is lesson 1. We just need to learn a and ba. Okay. A, ba. Ba, a ba, a, ba, ba, a. This is all we're learning. He's gonna bring these in different orders and so on just to test your understanding. Okay, hi, carry on. Let's carry on.
ba, 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 ba.
Yeah, a, ba. Okay, so we start off slow and then we need to start getting faster because we're gonna learn how to read fast after. Okay.
Ba, 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 ba,
Louder, yeah. Speed this. Okay, calm down now. Let's start this one again.
No.
Okay, start again. Loud, yeah. Okay, it says here, ihfad, memorize. This is what you have to memorize from lesson 1. This is what you should have learnt. Aba. This is what you need to know, yeah? Anytime you see hamza with the fatha, you say a. Anytime you see ba with the fatha, you're going to say ba. So, previously, in this lesson, we were identifying the names of the letters. So we're saying ba, ta, tha, noon, or kaf, alif, kaf, a, kaf, alif, ba, kaf, ta. Now we're learning that these are the names of the letters, but when it comes here, we need to say the letters ba, a, not hamza. So we're not saying ba, hamza. We're saying ba, a. So the ba with the fatha sounds the same as the name of the letter. The name of the letter is called ba. Yeah, ba with the alif. Whereas the harakat, the stretching of the harakat is half a second. Yeah, this is something important to bear in mind also. When you're reading the harakat, each of them, fatha, kasra and dhamma, their length is half a second. So it's like if you're reading a word, like if I was to read this word, a, ba, a, half a second, one haraka. Yeah, one haraka is half a second. Ba, a, ba, a, ba, a, ba, ba, like this. It's important to have this measurement, half a second, because there's going to come letters where it's going to become 1 second or 2 harakat, and you need to be able to maintain the measurement and the lengths of the harakat correctly, and the ones that are elongated or stretched, the mudud, you have to elongate them. Okay, so here we've learned a and ba. Today we're going to do ta and tha also. Let's do ta and tha. We're learning ta, tha. What did you learn here? A, ba. Now we're learning ta, tha. This is easy, isn't it? It's the same as the names of the letters. Ba, ta, tha, same thing. But we're not stretching. We're just going to say ta, tha. Also, he's going to mention a and ba also in here. So you should already know a, ba. He told you to memorize, so you should already know it. Now we're adding ta and tha plus the revision of a, ba. Okay, let's read. Try and read quick, yeah?
Ta, tha, tha, ta, tha, ba.
Okay, that's very quick. That's very quick. A little bit slower, yeah?
Ba, da, a, da, tha, da, tha, a, da.
So tha, a, ta.
Tha, ba, da, da, a, ba. A, tha, 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 da, a. Ba, da, tha, ba, da, tha. Da, a, tha. Ba, tha, a. A, ba, da. Da, da, tha, ba. A, da, tha. Da, tha, a. A, da, ba. Da, tha, a. A, ba, da. Ba, ba, tha, a. Ba, a, da. Ba, tha, a. A, da. Ba, tha, da. A, ba, da, tha. A, ba, da, tha. A, ba, da, tha.
Okay, so now we should have finished a, ba, ta, tha. We should know 4 of them. Whenever these 4 letters have fatha, whether they are written individually like this or they're joined in words, they're always going to have this sound. A, ba, ta, tha. Hamza, ba, ta, and tha, if they have fatha, they're going to sound like this. A, ba, ta, tha. So he's saying, ihfad, memorize. Now you've done 4 letters with fathas, and this is how the book is going to continue, and how we're going to continue also by following this book, inshallah, where he's going to introduce 2 more letters and he's going to revise what we've taken previously. So after these 2 letters, we're going to have memorized 6 letters. We're going to have done 6 letters and so on until we finish, inshallah, the huruf, the letters with the harakat. And then he's going to bring in other harakat, inshallah, later on. But we're going to follow this pattern with the harakat in learning the fatha, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.